What? Yes. What? Yes. Yes. All right, and yours? Richard. Somebody's keeping their mouth shut today, whoever it is. And she did berate me some time ago for filming. Said I had no right to film. And she was, I think, mistaken. If it's Sue Montgomery, she also falsely accused me of libeling her in a rather foolish demand letter that Sue Montgomery arranged to have Mark Banty have me served with somewhat over 1,000 days ago now, saying that Sue Montgomery will not hesitate to sue me for libel for telling the truth about it. I mean, he didn't say I was telling the truth, but I'm saying I'm telling the truth about it. You know, he tried to pretend that I was making libelous statements about Sue Montgomery when in fact everything he cited in his cease and desist demand letter as being a libelous statement was actually a very truthful statement that was supported by some pretty convincing evidence. So I basically just laughed at him and mocked him and never heard from him again. You know, even though he did say that Sue Montgomery would not hesitate to sue me for libel if I did not comply with his demands that I take down the blog posts and tweets and videos that contained very truthful information about Sue Montgomery in them. And of course I didn't take down so much as a comma. Are you spitting towards me, sir? If you are, you've got your head up your ass. So I don't know who this guy is, but he seems to be expressing contempt for my protest. I guess he may be, you know, maybe he's in favor of clergy sexual abuse of children. Who knows? You know, maybe he thinks that's a good thing and shouldn't be protested against. Anyhow. Takes all kinds to make this world go round, I guess. Anyhow, let's see if this camera's still running here. Oh yes, still got 10 minutes of video left in this segment, and oh, plenty of battery power left, so we'll just let it run. I don't know how much longer I'm going to stick around. Oh, maybe stick around for the full half hour. But it's certainly been worthwhile. It was worthwhile coming back after a coffee break and finding a woman who, if not a Unitarian Universalist, was certainly a sympathizer who was scuffing my chalk slogan here, trying to hide the fact that not only do Unitarian Universalists have you know, their own fair share of sexual abuse of children going on, whether by Unitarian Universalist ministers or Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers or Unitarian Universalist lay people, but you know that they actually try quite hard to conceal that. Not the least of their ways of trying to conceal it is by outright denying any sexual abuse of children by any Unitarian Universalist ministers in what was supposed to be an apology to victims and survivors of Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual misconduct that corpse cold Unitarian Jim Key, moderator of the Unitarian Universalist Association, inserted into his first moderator's report. Jim Key, in his first moderator's report to a General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association in 2014, said the following words in the middle of his mendacious and quite frankly worthless apology to victims of clergy sexual misconduct. He said, "There were no incidents of abuse of children or elders in my investigations." So Jim Key, in what was supposed to be an apology to victims of clergy sexual misconduct, indeed clergy sexual abuse, because the word misconduct, tends to minimize the seriousness of what goes on. I mean, some of it could be misconduct, but some of it's very abusive. Outright rape is included within Unitarian Universalist clergy misconduct. So clergy abuse is a better word, clergy sexual abuse. Anyway, getting back to Jim Key, he just brazenly lied about the sexual abuse of children by Unitarian Universalist ministers, because he outright denied any. He just said he'd investigated personally and found no evidence of any sexual abuse of children. This is a brazen, bald-faced lie, because I personally told Jim Key about some cases where Unitarian Universalist ministers were charged, tried, and convicted of what the Unitarian Universalist Association's Canadian attorney describes as such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So I told him about Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell, who had lured teenage Tibetan refugees away from their families in India with promises of a better life in America, and proceeded to repeatedly rape them over a period measured in years in one case and months in another. That's an egregious case of sexual abuse of children, unless you don't think 15, 16-year-old teenagers are children, but I think they fit the description of children. Anyhow, so he wasn't a pedophile per se, because his victims were, sort of in their mid-teens, at least as far as we know. There could have been younger victims, but in terms of what's known, his victims were approximately 16 years old when he first started raping them. But unfortunately there are other ministers who have been charged, tried, and convicted of the sexual abuse of preteen children, also known as pedophile Unitarian Universalist ministers. And I made it clear to Jim Key that a certain number of Unitarian Universalist ministers had been charged, tried, and convicted of pedophilia, essentially. And yet he chose to pretend to be blissfully unaware of any sexual abuse of children in his, as I said, mendacious official apology to victims of clergy sexual misconduct. So yes, the wind is blowing my way. Just blew down the picket sign again, so we'll just put it back up and we'll circulate a little bit. Definitely plenty of car traffic, and I did enjoy getting that applause earlier. I think literally I have no recollection of any previous time when somebody literally clapped as they were going by my protest. As I said, I've had cars honking, and I've had thumbs up from cars and so on, but first time anyone's provided a little applause for my protest. So, of course, that was balanced off by the guy who didn't spit right at me, but he spat down on the ground in a way that suggested he was expressing contempt for my protest. So yes, I do get the occasional negative response from non-Unitarians. I mean, I get plenty of negative responses from Unitarians, including physical assaults. But in terms of the general public, the negative responses are pretty rare. They're, averaging out at around one negative response out of every 10 responses, so for every negative response, there's something like 8 or 9 positive and supportive affirmative responses from people. But yes, I do get the occasional person who does not approve of my protest against Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Nice classic car going there. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. Very glad I came back and protested for a bit longer, but we're coming up to the end of a half-hour segment of protesting and video, and I think once it ends, we're just going to pack it up and go. Although it would be kind of fun to get some video of Montreal Unitarians trying to wash away my chalk slogans. Oh, that looks like a former president of the Unitarian Church of Montreal there. Marlo something Thomas or something. Okay, we got about a minute and a bit left in the video. I think I actually might keep this up a little bit longer. Might just start up another reel once this one ends. There's Harvey coming out with a flower. So yeah, we just got a few seconds left on this. So we're looking at the empty wayside pulpit of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Up until recently, it held the Unitarian Church of Montreal's empty mission statement. And I say empty because essentially it was completely devoid of any moral and ethical content. But that's another story that we don't have time for right now, because this is about to wrap up.